factor that many people get wrong in business and in sales. And that's reading the signals and signs that someone else is giving you. And I wanted to, and not just the signals and the signs, but what they're saying to you. And I wanted to start this off by telling you a story. And the story is this: when I was younger, my first job when I left university was I went to work for a big computer networking company called 3Com. And 3Com, we did computer networking equipment, and they were I was a product specialist in one of their divisions based in Hemel Hempstead, and I enjoyed it. And if you ever worked at 3Com, come and connect with me on LinkedIn. I loved 3Com for a long time. I was there 7 years. It was a brilliant start to my journey and career in business. And I worked for this division, and basically I had the opportunity to go out, and I was lucky. I got to go out and sell to see the world. And I wanted to tell you a story about reading the signals and signs from people, because it's something that people do wrong. But let me share this story with you. So basically, I was asked to go and present in Beijing. So this would have been 1998, about 1990. I joined 3Com in 97, so maybe 97, 98. So quite some time ago. But anyway, I was really excited about going out to I was a 23, 21, 22-year-old lad. I can't remember how old I was then, but quite young. And I was basically being flown out on business class. I was flying in business class flights to places around the world to present. And I basically, was excited about that. And I talked to my boss because I had to be there for the Monday. And I said to him, any chance I can, my boss Nick, and I said to him, any chance I can, go out there for the Friday so I can be there for the weekend? Anyway, she said, yeah, no worries at all. So I was excited. I've never been to China before in my life, and I was thinking, oh my goodness me, this is incredible. So So basically, I decided, okay, great. Well, I get to Beijing early, and I had to pay for the hotel. I think I can't remember if the company sorted it out. Anyway, long story short, I was out there in Beijing. So Saturday morning, I got there for Friday night, and I was there Saturday. So I was like, wow, I'm going to have a look around and go on a tour. So of course, if you're in Beijing, if you've ever been there, there's some incredible sights to see. There's the Tiananmen Square. There's the temples that are there. The incredible place to go, an incredible culture, and I have to say I loved it. I haven't been back for quite some time, but I loved it. And one of course, the other things that I saw, which was great, was the Great Wall of China. And by the way, if you've never seen it, it's it's one of the only man-made things that can be seen from space. But anyway, this incredible phenomenon, the Great Wall of China, is just breathtaking to see it. And I was like, wow. So we had this amazing tour. We started early in the morning, around 8 o'clock, and then we got to about lunchtime. And I was the only person probably from a Western country. A lot of the other people that were there were tourists from other parts of China, a couple of people from Hong Kong, a couple of people from Taiwan that were there. So I was the only, certainly the only person from the UK there on that table. And anyway, so we were having this lunch, and suddenly, and this story, by the way, I hope you're not going to be offended by it. If you are, apologies. It's not meant to offend. It's meant to just share a story about how you can read the signals. Anyway, so I was trying to, a young man trying to be in this environment, and I was struggling with chopsticks, as many people are. So if you go into an Oriental restaurant and you try and use chopsticks, I was struggling with chopsticks, and I was trying to pick up the rice and lovely food that was being served to us. And the waitress came over, and this lovely young lady, and at the time I was, I think if I was either single or, I can't remember if I was single or if I was with my girlfriend at the time. But anyway, she came over, and she said to me, and she looked at me and she said, "You want to fuck?" And then I looked at her, and I was a bit stunned. I was like, I don't quite get what's going on here. Bloody hell, I was like taken aback. And she just looked at me and she smiled again, and she said, "You want to fuck?" And I was like, what's going on here? What do I do? I'm a 20-year-old, I was like thinking, this is mad. I don't know what to say here. What do I do? And she pointed to this curtain behind the back of where the restaurant is. "You want to fuck?" And I was like, is this a local custom? What do I do? What do I do in this situation? I just didn't know what I wanted to do. And I was about to literally stand up and walk towards the curtain, and goodness knows what would have happened. I'd have been arrested. And the chap that was on the table next to me, he just looked at me and said, "She asks if you want a fork." Oh, So basically, I'd misread the sign. Now, again, you might think I've got a weird mind or whatever else, but the way she said it, it was guaranteeing me it was that word. And my point here is, I misread the sign. And the story about that, hopefully you find it a little bit entertaining, is that I read the sign. She was asking me if I wanted a fork to eat my food with, and I thought she was saying something else. But the point is this. There is so many times in sales that people misread the signs. And it's very easily done, as I've just shown you with that story. And the reality is, when it happens, it's one of the things that can really put your sales deal off kilter and off course. And being able to read people and being able to read the signs that people are giving you and what they're not giving you, I think is one of those really critical skills that you have to develop in sales. And it comes from experience, and it comes from having a very astute an acute sense of self-awareness to know situations. It comes from education, to be able to know what people's body languages are giving off and the signals they're giving off and what they're saying to you. And it also comes from you not being needy and desperate and wanting to feel that everyone has to please you. And I think within sales situations, a lot of the time, there is so many people who will read a situation wrongly and read a signal wrongly, and as a result of that, then take an action which then undoes lots of good work that they do, or causes problems. Another example of that, which I read in the signals, where people get it badly wrong, was I had a conversation with someone who was told that that they were going to have a conversation with, it was a person that was buying a service, and they were going to have a conversation with their boss. And what that person misread that to be was that they should go and have a conversation with their boss, not for the person who worked in that company to do it. And long story short, they went around the outside of this person, went above them to the chief executive or the managing director to have this conversation. And by doing that, by misreading those signals and those signs, the person that was their champion got really frustrated and hacked off as a result of that, and then said they didn't want to go forward with the deal. So I guess my point that I'm trying to get across to you here is two things. Firstly, in sales and sales situations, you really have to be sure, or firstly become really an expert in reading and understanding other people and what they're signaling and sending to you. And part of that is not just in the words people say. There's this great Morabian study that shows that in communication, in the success of a communication, only 7% of it is in the words that people say, but the other 93% is in how they say it and the way they deliver it. And so one of the things I encourage you to do is become an absolute expert in being able to read signals and signs from people and what they're saying and what they're not saying, so that you can be in a position to really get to the bottom of what someone's looking to do or what they're saying. And of course, in sales situations, sometimes people won't tell you exactly what they're thinking. Unfortunately, people will sometimes tell you something and don't mean it, or they'll say they're okay. I mean, I'm happy to say I'm a man that, with my wife, sometimes I've learned over time that when she says she's okay, and I look at her and I can see that she's not, she says to me she's okay, but I've read enough of the signs to go, something's not right. And that's not just with my wife, it's with friends and family members and other people, where I can sense from their conversation and what they've said to me that something isn't quite right. And one of the things that I encourage you to do is get really in tune with that. Get really attuned to what people are really thinking and seeing and saying. And in sales situations, we want to be attuned to that aspect. Because if someone, and Chris Voss, again, I reference Chris Voss a lot, his book, Never Split the Difference, he was an FBI negotiator, talks about 3 yeses, where there's this one yes, which is a counterfeit yes. Someone's saying to you yes, but they'd rather lie to you and say yes, rather than create a confrontation where they say no and then it not go the way they want it to. So become an expert at being able to read those signals and signs from people. That's the first thing. And the second thing is then the good salespeople, the great salespeople will then be able to use that information to clarify and confirm, and not just take the emotional reaction from that situation, but really deal with that moment right then and now, rather than ignore it, go off and try and do something, and then get caught into a problem later down the line. So for example, in that situation where you feel someone's telling you something but it's not quite right, a great way to handle that is to say, look, it could be me, I could be completely wrong here, but I just sensed something wasn't right. Be honest with me, how are you feeling? Or it could be me, I could be wrong here, but I got a sense that that wasn't quite how you felt about it, or you didn't feel quite comfortable, or it wasn't quite right for you, or you didn't really mean what you said there. Tell me what you're thinking. Now, if they come back and say, no, it was all great, I actually felt really good about it, cool, great, no problem, I just wanted to confirm. But being able to reconfirm the situation with someone, or reconfirm what's happened, is a critical factor within being able to build sales relationships and develop business over time. And one of the things that ambiguity causes is, it causes, and what assumptions cause, is problems. And we assume things, we see things, and we assume things. And if I'd have gone in that China, when I was in China in that story, and goodness knows what would have happened, it probably wouldn't have happened because she would have said to me, get back down and sit at your seat. But I assumed something, and I was wrong to assume it. It's like, use simple questions to clarify things. I wanted just to clarify what you meant by that. I wanted to make sure we get this right for you. So can we just clarify this, this, and this, rather than going forward and doing something that's not quite right? And being able to make sure you get that clarity and that confirmation from people is really, really important as well. So look, the whole idea of my podcast is to share stories of when things go right and wrong. There's lots of things that I've done in the past where I've not made the right decisions and I've reacted in a different way. And experience maybe teaches you a lot. But if I can get you to do two things that I think can absolutely improve the way in which you get sales success, it's to be in a position where you learn to read the signals and the signs that people are giving you, and the things that they're saying to you, and also the things that they're not saying to you. They may utter words, but remember that Moravian study, 93% of a communication is not in the words, it's in the tone and the way people do things. So if someone's saying it's okay, but their body language is giving something different, then be in a position where you can react and respond to that. And the second part of that is then use those senses to clarify or to qualify or to talk about that situation. I sense something's not quite right. I could be wrong, but I got the feeling that you don't feel comfortable here, or this isn't quite right for you. Be honest with me, where you're thinking, what you're feeling. I don't want to waste your time. I don't want to go and do something that wastes, makes it, it wastes both of our time. What are you thinking? And use that time to clarify that situation. And if they go, no, I'm really good, it's all good, and I'm really comfortable, and I'm really happy with the idea of that, the proposal, great. I wanted to make sure that so that we can, be honest with each other. When you clarify, you save yourself time, you save yourself hassle, and you save yourself embarrassing situations like I could have had in China. So it's a real skill to be able to do those things, and I encourage you to have those elements in place. Read the signs, become an expert in reading people and understanding the logic around things, and clarify that situation. Don't walk away, don't leave that conversation and think, oh, it's okay and it'll be fine. You're going to create a problem for yourself later down the line. Use your sixth sense, your senses that you've built up, your self-awareness skills to clarify the situation and to make sure that you're not going to waste time doing something that then could save you hassle in the future. And if you can do those two things, it's going to put you in a good position to read people better, read the signals, read the situation, to then know how to respond to get the right reaction and result you want. So look, that's my podcast for today. As I always do with these podcasts, I hope you found that useful and the story was helpful. I wanted just to, as I always finish off with a inspirational story, and I wanted to share a story of a lady called Kate Jaden, who a number of years back now, the record's been overtaken, but she became actually a lady from Derby, and she ran 106, I think, marathons it was consecutively. And you might remember from a previous podcast, I talked about a guy called Gary McKee that rode the run 365, but Kate Jaden, nearly set the record for this a number of years ago. Incredible story, 106 consecutive days to run a marathon. It just blows me away that someone's got that ability and that commitment to achieve such incredible things, and the cause she did it for was important. But when we realise what we're capable of as human beings and we put our mind to something, nothing's impossible. So have a look at Kate Jaden. She's a great inspiration. But I hope that today's podcast has helped you. It's given you some inspiration, some ideas on reading the right signals so that you don't make the mistake that I nearly made in China. But if you do read things right and you clarify, you're going to be in a position to get the right result at the right time, which is what we all want. So that's it for this week. Thank you so much for listening. If you like the podcast, please like and share it. Talk to other people about it. Let's make sure that they, maybe you've got a funny story to tell around a reading the signals badly as well. Reach out to me on social media. I'd love to hear the story and that we can maybe share it in a future podcast. But that's it for me from today. Have a great week ahead and speak to you next week and see you soon. Take care.